Do you have a moment? Oh, yes, of course. Sorry to keep you. Please, take a seat here. At my stepson's open house day, his teacher called me aside. Please divorce your husband. What? Oh, I'm sorry. That came out wrong. I mean, not that it's incorrect, but that's not what I meant to say. Olivia, please calm down. I'll listen to what you have to say. Taken aback by the unexpected request, I was initially stunned, but it seemed the teacher, Olivia, was just flustered and misspoke. I calmed the teacher down to hear what they really meant to say. Please listen calmly. About your son, Josh. The teacher's revelations were shocking. I see, that's why they suggested I divorce my husband. This was information serious enough to consider immediate divorce. I am Michelle, a 38-year-old nurse. I married Henry, a corporate employee 6 years my senior, 10 years ago. Now, I live with our 12-year-old son, Josh. Josh being 12 after 10 years of marriage isn't because I had him before our marriage. I was a first-time bride, but Henry was divorced, and Josh is his son from that marriage. My husband, Henry, was able to live with his son, Josh, because his ex-wife had cheated, misused family funds, and lacked financial stability as a homemaker. Indeed, I too think that such a mother couldn't be entrusted with the care of a child. I've been living with Josh since he was 2 years old, so he thinks of me as his real mother, and of course, I treat him as my own son. I'm home. Off I go. Hey! How many times have I told you to do your homework first? And put away your backpack yourself. When I hear Josh's voice at the entrance, I yell from the kitchen towards the front door. I stop preparing dinner and head to the entrance, but Josh is already gone. In his place, as if a stand-in, only his backpack lies abandoned. Josh prefers playing outside to video games. He tosses his backpack at the entrance and immediately heads out to play after school. I always scold him for not doing his homework or for leaving his backpack unattended. Yet, while I scold him, feeling the role of a mother brings me a secret joy. Despite my exasperation, I pick up his backpack with a smile and take it to his room. Okay, I'm counting on you for the morning. Sure thing. Have a good day. One evening, after finishing dinner preparations, I started getting ready for work. As a nurse, I have night shifts and work on weekends. When I have night shifts, I can't make it back before Henry leaves for work and Josh goes to school the next day. And sometimes, I work day shifts on weekends, so I'm often not home. But when I'm absent, Henry takes care of the house. His cooperative attitude in household chores and parenting makes our lives smooth, and so far, we've led a happy life without any major troubles. But in the 10th year of our marriage, this happy life seemed to be coming to an end. When our family of 3 sits down for dinner, Josh usually tells us about his day. Listen. Today I saw a bird catch a bug. It swooped down from the sky, snatched it, and then zoomed back up. That must have been quite a sight. Sounds thrilling. Josh talks excitedly, but as he's a grade schooler, his stories aren't particularly interesting to us adults. Still, we lovingly listen, nodding along as he eagerly shares his experiences and thoughts while ignoring his dinner. These moments make me cherish our family dinners the most. But one day, our usually joyful dinner took a gloomy turn. Did you have fun playing with your friends today? Not really. That's odd. You had more time to play today, being Sunday and all. Where did you play? The usual park. Usually, Josh is chatty during dinner, but suddenly he becomes curt, engaging in minimal conversation. The silence during dinner, without Josh's voice, feels lonely, and the clinking of utensils echoes emptily. Additionally, Josh has become aloof not just during dinner but throughout the house. Josh, do you want to play a game with Dad? No. Previously, after dinner, Josh would watch TV in the living room, play games, or just lounge on the sofa. But now, he immediately retreats to his room as soon as he finishes eating. Seeing this change in Josh, both Henry and I are worried. Did something happen to Josh at school? I wonder. He doesn't seem to hate going to school, and he heads out to play as soon as he comes home. So it doesn't seem like it's because of school or friends. Maybe it's something to do with his studies? We can't say for sure right now. No matter how much Henry and I discuss, we can't find the answer. But asking Josh doesn't resolve anything either. You've been quite quiet around the house lately. Is something wrong? It's nothing. Okay, if you say so. My son, Josh, didn't share anything with me. I understand that he might have things they don't want to tell their parents. But until now, he'd always talked about everything excitedly. So, being brushed off with just an "it's nothing" felt like a nail being driven into my heart. I wanted to press for a reason, but I feared pushing too hard might backfire. So, I decided to just watch over him for a while. 10 days after Josh's behavior changed, he suddenly said, "Listen. Today, our teacher forgot their textbook in the staff room during class. How is she planning to teach, I wonder? Isn't our teacher, Olivia, quite young? Maybe she's just overwhelmed with work. It's not right to laugh at others' mistakes." Josh was having dinner but continued talking without eating. His mood seemed to gradually return to normal after about a week. Though I didn't know the reason, I was relieved and listened to him more cheerfully than before. I thought the issue was resolved. But it seemed to be only temporary. "Since it's Sunday, you must have had lots of fun playing, right? Did anything exciting happen?" "It's nothing." "So, what did you play today?" "Soccer." A few days later, Josh became curt again. His words felt like another nail being driven into my heart. Like before, I lightly probed. "You've become quiet again. Is something bothering you?" "It's nothing," he replied with more force than usual and left for school, slamming the door. Henry, who was about to leave for work, had witnessed our exchange. "He'll be back to normal after a while." "Really?" This time he seemed more upset. "Are you sure it's okay? Kids these days are different from when we were 12. Josh is more grown up than we think. Treating him too much like a child might backfire. Let's just watch over him like before." Henry unhurriedly and left for work. Although Henry suggested just watching over Josh, I felt something wasn't right. I didn't have a particular reason. Maybe just a mother's intuition. Yet, I also thought Henry's words about not treating Josh too much like a child were valid. Torn about what to do, I returned to the living room, pondering. Back in the living room, I noticed a printout left on the table since last night. It was an invitation to an open house day. That's right. The open day is coming up. I should talk to Olivia, the teacher. I only knew about Josh's life at home, so learning about his school life might give me clues to solve the problem. I went from not knowing what to do to deciding on my next step made me feel a bit lighter. On the day of the open house, Henry couldn't take the day off, so I went alone. Arriving at the school, I confidently headed to Josh's classroom, familiar with the routine. Children's reactions to the open house varied. While sitting in their seats, some smiled and waved at their parents or talked loudly, while others shyly continued to look forward. Josh kept glancing my way. "Yes, I know the back of the classroom is interesting, but let's start the class," announced Olivia as she entered. The children turned their attention forward. It was my first time seeing Olivia, and this was the first open house of Josh. Although Olivia looks dignified, as Josh had described, she was quite young. Probably in her mid to late 20s. It seems young teachers are as popular now as ever. Josh and his mates fondly called her Olivia. While observing Josh's class was one goal, I also intended to talk to Olivia. I joined the parent-teacher meeting after the open house. The meeting was also attended by Olivia, and I planned to speak with her afterward. "As this concludes our meeting, thank you all for attending." As the meeting ended, I wanted to talk to Olivia before she left or other parents approached her. Trying to look unhurried but feeling anxious, I moved towards her. But before I could speak, Olivia called out to me. "Josh's mom, do you have a moment after this?" "Oh, yes, of course." I stopped and waited for the other parents to leave the classroom. Once they were gone, the classroom fell quiet, the noises from outside and the hallway now more distinct. "Sorry to keep you. Please, take a seat here." I sat down on a chair, and the teacher, Olivia, sat opposite me. In class and during the meeting, she appeared composed, but up close, she still looked very young. Her face, filled with anxiety, resembled that of a student nervously awaiting exam results. She also fidgeted as if holding back a need to use the restroom. Called in by the teacher. Her uneasy demeanor made it clear she had something difficult to say about my son, Josh. Bracing myself for whatever might come, I tensed up, ready to hear it. "Please divorce your husband." "What?" I was prepared to hear something about Josh. But Olivia's words were about my husband, Henry, and she was asking for a divorce. I was stunned by this unexpected turn.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's not what I meant. Well, not exactly. What I meant to say is...
Apparently, Olivia was so nervous that she skipped the entire explanation. Her face turned bright red, sweat appeared, and she made gestures like clutching her chest and scratching her head, like something out of a comic book. It was a reminder of how young she still was as a teacher.
Olivia, please calm down. I'll listen to what you have to say.
Regaining her composure after my words, Olivia took a deep breath and tried to settle down. It seemed she had something very difficult to say.
Please listen calmly. The truth is about your son, Josh.
I couldn't help but internally remark on her need to calm down, as her revelation was indeed shocking. Now I understood why she'd mentioned divorce. The information she shared was certainly challenging for a teacher to discuss. Her anxious and flustered behavior made sense. I thanked Olivia for her courage and decided to divorce Henry. After hearing from Olivia, I knew I had to divorce Henry, but I needed evidence before confronting him. Since Olivia heard it from Josh, I hoped to get more detailed information from him, which might lead to the evidence I needed. But considering the nature of what I had to ask, it would be too much of a psychological burden for Josh. That had already been proven. I had no choice. It was disturbing, but I needed to catch them in the act. I decided to suppress my anger and act normal until I could execute my plan.
So, what did you learn at school today?
Nothing.
There must be something, right?
Don't just talk, eat your dinner quickly. We can't clean up if you don't.
Josh, you went out to play without doing your homework again today, right?
Eat quickly and do your homework. Okay. Josh ate silently and then went straight to his room. I've been subtly encouraging him to stay in his room these past few days. Although we haven't spoken about it, Josh seems to sense what I'm doing. So, Henry is the only one out of the loop.
You were right, Josh's mood isn't improving. It was just a week before, but now it's been almost 2. Yes, but you said it yourself, Josh is more mature than we think, so we shouldn't treat him like a child. I agree, let's just wait a little longer.
I wonder if that's okay. Henry looked troubled, pondering if this approach was really right for Josh. But I needed him to keep watching Josh without changing anything. I hoped, sending my thoughts telepathically while washing the dishes, that Henry wouldn't change his behavior. Whether my thoughts reached him or not, everything remained the same for the next few days. I'm off to work then.
Wait, isn't today your day off after the night shift? I swapped shifts with someone at work who wanted to watch their kid's sports game. It's a day shift, so I should be home by around 7 p.m. Oh, and since it's Sunday, please take care of Josh's lunch. He'll probably want to go out and play right after eating, so feed him early.
Got it. Eager to leave, I quickly left the house. I told Henry the first was going to work, but that was a lie. After leaving the house, I stopped at the first corner to hide and keep watch. I had packed bread and water in my bag, ready for a long stakeout. Watching the house's entrance, I felt like a detective on surveillance. 4 hours into the stakeout, my son Josh energetically ran out in the opposite direction. Honestly, this was where the real stakeout began. I didn't necessarily need to watch until Josh left, but I stayed just in case he left early or my husband Henry left the house. It had already been 4 hours. I thought it would be tough to spend 4 hours doing nothing, but driven by determination, it wasn't as hard as I expected. An hour after Josh left, things started to happen. A woman, young and pretty, probably a little younger than me in her early 30s, walked towards our house. When the woman arrived at my house, she even entered without knocking at the door. Lucky to hit the jackpot on the first day of surveillance, I thought to myself. I had been waiting for this woman to come. While I had an idea of when she might visit, it wasn't certain. I was prepared to stake out for days until I caught her. But fortunately, it seemed I had struck gold on the first day. Once I saw the woman enter the house, I no longer needed to crouch, but instinctively did so and hurried towards the house. The bedroom window on the second floor, to the right of the entrance, was our room. If we hear voices coming from here after a little while, that will be our signal to go in. I closed my eyes, concentrating on that window, waiting for any sound that would signal it was time to burst in. After several minutes, I heard the faint sound of the bedroom door closing. Strangely, I felt like I could hear voices, despite the distance.
Already? We have to hurry before the kid comes back.
Convinced I heard this conversation, I decided to enter the house. I quietly opened the door, carefully placing my bag and trying to avoid making noise. Once inside, I headed straight upstairs. The stairs creaked softly under my weight. Though the noise was minor, it seemed loud to me at the moment. Reaching the top of the stairs, I walked delicately to the bedroom, careful not to make any footstep sounds. At the bedroom door, I strained my ears again. The last thing I wanted to hear was coming from inside. I felt disgusted. This was why I wanted to avoid this approach. But there was no turning back. Gripping the doorknob, I cleared my mind and let my emotions take over.
What are you two doing?
I burst open the bedroom door with such force it could have broken. Henry sat up in shock, and the woman quickly covered herself with the blanket.
Why are you here?
I looked at the bed, then noticed their clothes scattered on the floor. I stomped towards the clothes, releasing my pent-up stress with every heavy step.
What are you going to do?
I silently gathered their clothes and threw them out the window. Now they couldn't escape the house easily, giving me time to talk.
Both of you, sit down here.
Realizing they couldn't escape, they obediently followed my command. Sitting there naked, they looked utterly pathetic.
Why are you here? Weren't you at work? That was a lie. I knew if everyone was out, a woman would come to the house. How did you know that? Josh saw you too. That's how. What? What are you talking about?
The first time Josh acted strangely was when he witnessed Henry's affair. Henry would invite his lover over on Sundays when I was away for a day shift and Josh was out playing until evening. However, it seems that Josh came home earlier than usual one evening because his friends couldn't play due to some family issues. That's when he stumbled upon Henry's affair. Not knowing what to do and not wanting to be noticed by Henry, he left the house again. Josh is only 12, so it's hard to say how much he understood, but he surely realized how wrong his father's infidelity was. Above all, witnessing such a scene involving his parents must have been traumatic. That's why he acted normally at school and with friends, but at home, he became withdrawn, not knowing how to act around Henry, and started staying in his room. He didn't talk to me about it, not because he chose not to, but rather because he couldn't. Even I felt disgusted when I encountered it, so Josh must have been deeply shocked.
Don't lie. He was cheerful at times. If he knew about us, he wouldn't have been, right? He believed in you, so he checked again the next Sunday.
Josh didn't want to believe his father was having an affair. So, he pretended to go out and returned home early the next Sunday. That day, the affair didn't happen, so Josh thought it was either his misunderstanding or a one-time incident and decided to forget about it. However, just to be sure, he checked again the following Sunday, and that time, the affair did happen. Witnessing his father's infidelity for the second time changed his behavior at home again.
Why do you know so much? Josh didn't tell you anything, right? Right, he didn't tell me anything. I couldn't possibly ask him for details about something like this. Then how come you know so much? It doesn't make sense. Josh couldn't tell me, but he talked to his teacher, Olivia. What?
Josh, having witnessed his father's affair twice and not knowing what to do, turned to Olivia for advice. Olivia, being young, popular, and well-liked by the students, was an approachable adult for Josh and easy to trust as his teacher. Olivia then shared with me during the parent-teacher meeting what Josh had confided in her.
I'm a teacher, so I can't delve too deeply into personal matters. I will only share what Josh has consulted about and what he's troubled with.
Olivia began with a disclaimer about her role as a teacher, indicating that she couldn't go too deep or identify the third party involved in the affair. But she managed to convey the message in a gray area.
Please listen calmly. Josh told me that his father has been letting an unknown woman into the house. Letting a stranger into the house is a problem, isn't it? Yes, it is. Josh said he's scared of the unknown adults in the house and couldn't enter because of it on Sundays. That must have been frightening for him.
Olivia subtly hinted at Henry's infidelity and Josh witnessing it without directly saying, "Your husband is having an affair. Please divorce him for Josh's sake." Initially, she blurted out about divorce in a panic, but once she regained her composure, she approached the matter appropriately. In hindsight, perhaps her initial outburst was a tactic. pretending to be flustered, then using indirect expressions to make the message clearer. Thanks to Olivia, I got enough information and didn't need to ask Josh directly, which led to my strategy of surveilling the house on Sunday.
You've been caught in the act, so no need for further evidence, right? Will you agree our divorce right now? Divorce? Of course. I can't stay married to someone who brings women into our house. Hey! You, be quiet.
I ignored the woman, prioritizing dealing with Henry. I presented Henry with the divorce papers I had prepared, making him sign while still naked. Even after 100 years of love, seeing such a pathetic sight would cool any affection.
Why did you have an affair? You divorced your previous wife because of her affair, you know how terrible it is. Why would you do the same? Well, you and Josh were off and out, and I met someone nice.
So, his desires overpowered him, even though he had suffered from infidelity himself. Not all men cheat, but maybe that's just how some men are. At least Henry turned out to be the worst kind. Glancing at the other woman, she glared at Henry with a fierce expression, like a wrathful deity. She wanted to say something to Henry, but seemed to be holding back, fearing I might yell at her again. Her fists were clenched and trembling.
Finished signing? I'll keep this for now. We'll talk about the details later. Details? Completing this paper alone won't finalize the divorce, right? We need to discuss things like property, don't we?
I had Henry sign the documents, but I still needed to consult a lawyer. Still, having him sign them was important to have proof of his intention to divorce, just in case. Yeah, we need to talk.
By the way, there's no way I'm leaving Josh with you. Josh is my son too, you know? He's my son as well. I plan to leave it to a lawyer, so be prepared for that. I'm leaving the house until evening, so could you two please leave by the time I get back? Why should we be the ones to leave? Can't we discuss that too? What about Josh? I can't leave him alone with you. Or are you suggesting I take him and stay somewhere else?
Well, I guess. Okay, I'll leave. I decided to leave the two of them naked and leave the house for the time being. Descending the stairs, I was about to leave when I heard yelling from upstairs.
What's going on here? Why do I have to suffer like this?
I don't know what they were arguing about, but I think the woman involved in the affair is equally to blame. She should be prepared with Henry. With a smirk on my face, I slowly left the house. Having caught Henry in the act of his affair, I was able to finalize the divorce on almost my own terms. We went through a legal process and I decided to live with Josh. I was worried about the battle, but I managed to take Josh due to the nature of the divorce and his wishes being respected. The necessary divorce documents were prepared by a lawyer, but I wanted to submit them myself as a form of closure. I received the papers from the lawyer and submitted them immediately. Feeling like I had delivered the final blow, I was quite satisfied at that moment. After the divorce, Henry apparently broke up with his affair partner. It's impossible to stay with someone who caused such a stain on your life. The shouting I heard from the affair partner on the day I confronted Henry was seemingly the answer to everything that followed. Henry lost his wife and precious son due to the affair, ending up alone. This must have made him realize that being the cheater or the one cheated on, both are equally bad. Josh and I moved out and started living in a rented apartment. Though my job has irregular hours and I had concerns about living with my son, he's nearly a middle schooler and understands that we need to live together now. He started helping with simple cooking, cleaning, and laundry. Josh seems more mature than I thought, almost like a little husband. I worried about his mental state after witnessing his father's affair. But after the divorce and separation from Henry, he quickly returned to his usual bright self. He seemed to understand that I was trying to keep him and his father apart inside the house. Knowing I was on his side must have helped him maintain his mental health. Although Olivia suggested consulting a school counselor, Josh said he didn't need it. And seeing him now, I agree. I will continue to be a good mother, ensuring Josh's smile never fades.